Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to you, dear brother Ahmed Manzoor Sheikh Imam, leader of the National Freedom Party and also a parliamentarian. We do understand that South Africa's parliament has voted in favor of a motion calling for the closure of Israel's embassy in Pretoria and, of course, amid soaring tensions between the two countries over the Israeli assault on Gaza. Let me just correct that. It's not the Israeli assault on Gaza, it's the genocide in Gaza. So let's talk to you, dear brother. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and shukran for having me on the air this morning.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure having you on air. Always like to hear your insights into all situations, very especially regarding politics and the impacts on obviously the marginalized all over the world, particularly in South Africa. Now, we understand that this action is largely symbolic, as it will be up to Cyril Ramaphosa's government whether to implement it or not. So take us first back to when this was being debated. What was the energy like in the House? The people that voted against, I think there's no guesses who they were, the parties that voted against it, and where to from here.
Well, first of all, let me tell you, I'm quite ecstatic, quite excited. We were so excited that immediately after the vote, I think all us that supported it went into a frenzy: free Palestine. Palestine will be free. Even at
Alhamdulillah.
the end of the entire session, when the chairperson just closed the session, we just went on and on and on. Of course, I think we were very happy. We were very excited. South Africa, Kenya has really made its mark in the history of politics. There's no doubt about having passed this motion. It's a very significant motion. It's a message that we are giving not only to the Zionist state of Israel, but to anyone and everyone all over the world, that South Africa might be a smaller country, world country, but indeed, when it comes to human rights, we are the champions, and from that. So the motion yesterday, of course, was by the ANC, the EFF. You remember the ANC made an amendment. I will talk about that in a while. Yeah, so it's the ANC, the EFF, the NFP, the PAC also supported it. And, very strange enough, and Al Jama, of course, but strange enough, the Good Party has always been visibly absent at these sittings, even on the downgrading
Okay. All right, brother Ahmed, can you just move around? You keep breaking up, so maybe you want to move to a better reception spot in wherever you are.
Yeah, I noticed it. Can you get me now? Maybe I should go
I can.
outside. I think we've got load shedding. That's just to let you know that parliamentarians also get load shedding. So
I'm glad to hear that. I'm very pleased to hear that.
all right.
Okay, so yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you
Yeah.
now.
So yes, indeed, it's the Democratic Alliance, the Freedom Front, the ACDP, the IFP. These are the parties that actually opposed it. Good Party has always been visibly absent when it comes to the issue of Palestine, trying to be on the fence, of course. And I hope that's a message to all our people all over. But very importantly, yes, that included the IFP opposed it. Now, the motion very importantly says that we will be shutting down the embassy and suspending all diplomatic relations with the state of Israel. That's the first one. The second thing, what we are saying, and this is the interesting part. I know there's some confusion around it. Very simple. Remember, it was open-ended. It did not give a time frame or anything as far as the suspension. What this one goes on to say, that we will suspend you, break all ties with you, in simple words, until a ceasefire is announced and implemented, number one. And number two, that you enter into negotiations or allow the United Nations to intervene in this and comply with all agreements that will be entered into, ensure there's a lasting, peaceful solution in Palestine. That is what.
Inshallah, inshallah. We sincerely hope so. You mentioned just
Now,
now
yeah,
that ANC made an
mm,
amendment.
yeah.
Okay, I've lost you again.
United. Yes. Can you hear me now? Can you
Yeah,
hear
can
me?
you start that again, please? Because I lost the opening few words of your sentence.
The ANC amendments,
Yeah,
what it touches on more importantly is the issue of a ceasefire immediately. Number two, it talks about the United Nations intervention, which Israel must enter into negotiations with, find a settlement, implement the settlement so that there will be a peaceful and lasting solution to the crisis in the Middle East. That is basically what. But now coming back to the issue of those parties that did not support it and the reasons that they gave, they feel that Africa will be isolating itself by doing this and suspending and expelling the ambassador. Then they will take away the opportunity of being a mediator. And that is when my question was, what did you, the DAIFP, Freedom Front, and ACDP do? Give me one single thing that you would have done to try and bring some peace, some stability, even created or taken an initiative or created an environment so that we could sit down and talk. How many more people must die? How many more children must die? How many more hospitals would have had to be blown up before you will decide that you want to intervene? And they could not answer that, to be honest with you. They just could not. I think those that opposed it, if ever they failed on anything in Parliament, it was yesterday because they were lost. Now, Naren Singh of the IFP, he attempted to want to derail this initiative because he said he did not get the amendment. The amendment, in fact, was not actually making any difference to the actual resolution that we wanted to pass. So he thought that maybe he was going to try and get a postponement, which did not work. But you saw that later on that eventually he voted against the motion, number one. And it's not because there was an amendment. They were not planning to support it. And they've never supported it. It's very clear. If you look at the latest statement that is released this morning, which shows all the parties that are benefiting from the Zionist state of Israel and companies from the IFP is included in there in any event. So they have always supported the state of Israel, and that is not going to change. They tried to do some damage control in the last sitting, but that didn't work for them. So, are you there?
I am. I'm just trying to wonder. You just
Yeah, I think
said
sort of you
something very,
slightly
very
silent.
important. You said two very, very important things. The attempt of derailment by Naran Singh of the IFP. I'm actually shocked by Naran Singh's action there because I always thought him or always viewed him as being a very ethical person. So that's shocked me out of my boots, number one. And number two, how do these parties benefit? Are they being funded by Jewish people in South Africa? Is that it?
Certainly, I can tell you, and that is why if you saw the motion that I put in later after this was done, which will have to come for debate at some stage, my motion that I put in is number one, asking the government to put in stringent measures on illicit financial flows between to and from the state of Israel. And from Israel and companies here aligned to Israel in South Africa, they've infiltrated us quite badly actually. And this started at the time of apartheid, and the ANC government had not taken this seriously. That's the problem. So the designers have infiltrated South Africa so badly that they control most sectors in this country. So lots and lots of funding is coming in for this, and a lot more funding is going to come to try now and have a regime change in South Africa. So that's one of the things on my motion. The second thing on my motion I addressed was the issue of the IDF. We need to identify all the South Africans that are participating in the war, committing atrocities, charge them criminally, and hand them over to the International Criminal Court. That is the second. Then the third thing I've asked for is to put in stringent visa conditions for Israelis coming to and from South Africa. Those are the three
Okay.
things. But on your question, yes, they are being funded, certainly being funded. And some of these people, have been there. They have met Netanyahu. And the latest report that has just come out shows that Musi Maimanen, Action SA, DA, ACDP, and the IFP are receiving money from certain individuals and business owners and things of that nature aligned to the Zionist state of Israel. So I
And
think they are
obviously,
motivated by money and nothing
yep.
else.
Obviously, if you're being funded by a certain individual and depending on his political views, you are going to pander to that person or that particular group of people's agendas, and you, as the politician, will then have to push their agendas. I want to go back a few steps, and you talk about a regime change in South Africa. It's not the first time we're hearing this, and I think South Africans need to wake up and take this situation very, very seriously, because you can, not can, there are probably a whole huge group of international funders who are agitating for a regime change in South Africa. And we do know that with the right amount of money, they can achieve those goals. So going forward, then, I know this was talk a little while ago, and I think it may or may not address the situation, but should we as South African civil society be asking to see which party is being funded by whom and to what amount? I think it's very
Well,
important we have this information.
very, very, very important, I think. Let me also say this. There are another thing. There are two things that we're not addressing. One is not enough is being done to get ordinary South Africans of a non-Muslim origin to understand what is going on in Palestine. We're not doing enough for people because some of these people are making it look like it's a religious war. That's the first. And the second thing is this, and the issue is of funding. Now there's a statement that has just come out. I'm not sure if you've seen it, with serious allegations that John Steenhuisen and the DA has taken massive loans from the United States and actually sold out the land in the Western Cape. To, in other
I
words, they sold their
actually,
rights.
Ahmed Manzoor, I've actually seen that report, but I kind of thought it might be fake news because it sounds so outrageous that I thought,
Yes.
no, that's just someone taking a swipe at the DA. It did. I kind of looked at it twice and thought, is this facts or is this fake news? Just go through that with us once again. And what are your thoughts on it? All right, let me do this, please, if you don't mind. Let me go for an ad break and come right back to you because I think that's two important issues you've raised and we need to unpack it more. Is the awareness education campaign to non-Muslims in South Africa regarding the Palestinian situation, where people are probably viewing it not only in South Africa, but globally as a religious war, which it is not. And number two, this issue around the DA. So we need to unpack it. Please stand by.
The Ahmad School of Excellence in Lebanon provides world-class education to Syrian and Palestinian refugees and Lebanese children with a library, coding, robotics lab, special needs classroom, and more. Amman is the foundation from which a generation of underprivileged children can fight poverty and reclaim their freedom. Donate towards a child's education because every child deserves the chance of a better future. Africa Muslims Agency, empowering, educating, inspiring.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness. And every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and freezer card calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
Our brothers and sisters in Palestine are enduring unimaginable hardships. Ashraful Aid teams are on the ground, delivering crucial aid to those in need. But we can't do it alone. Palestine is suffering and they need your help. Your support can make a world of difference. Visit www.ashrafulaid.org today and donate to bring hope, relief, and healing to those who are in need.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042 203 1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
The Turkey-Syria earthquake is among the deadliest earthquakes of the last century. Thousands have lost their lives, and large areas and cities and towns in southern Turkey and northern Syria have turned to rubble, leaving huge numbers of residents with very little or nothing at all. Al Imdad Foundation's emergency relief team is on the ground providing life-saving aid. The people of Turkey and Syria desperately need your support. Donate online at alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243 for more information.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome back. My guest is Ahmed Manzoor Sheikh Imam, leader of the National Freedom Party. Regarding the motion calling for the closure of the Israeli embassy in South Africa, and a whole host of other issues have come up in the course of the conversation. So, Ahmed Manzoor, back to you. I've left you with one or two questions. Pre the ad break, please, would you respond?
Yeah, well, on the issue of there's a video leak now on the lines on Stearns in relationship with the U.S. Loans that have been taken, virtually, basically selling out the Western Cape within the city of.
Okay, I'm losing you again. You need to move around.
Around. Let's just see. Are we okay now?
We're okay now. Thank you. Please continue.
Yeah. So the issue of remember, this is nothing unusual. If you look at the setup in the city of Cape Town, property in the city of Cape Town, particularly in the CDB, if you look at Greenpoint, Sea Point, all those areas, is beyond the reach of an ordinary South African.
Absolutely.
And that is because of the money that is pumped into the country by foreigners, foreign nationals. And when you talk about foreign nationals, you're talking about particularly those from Europe and things of that nature. So the prices have shot up ridiculously high. But the other important thing is that if you look at the land of Cape Town, surrounding areas, and when they are sold and who they are actually sold to, you will see the influence of particularly the Western Europe in the Western Cape. That's a major concern. And that is why you would find that the Western Cape appears to be like two continents in one for the rich, affluent, and the other one for the poorest. That is why you would find that if you look at the latest crime statistics as well, you would look at the murder rate, 5 different area precincts in the Western Cape or city of Cape Town alone, is high crime for murder and things like that, drug-related incidents, serious and violent crimes, and also teenage pregnancy, alcohol abuse. It's a major problem because communities are neglected to a very extent. So I'm not surprised with those allegations. Of course, it's going to need to be tested to see whether it's true or not. But I can tell you that in my observation, matters that I have repeatedly raised about the Western Cape and the land and the policies on land, then you can see the homeless are rising in the Western Cape. More and more people are getting hungry in the Western Cape as well. But very importantly, I think some stage we can anticipate the Western Cape wanting to call for its own independence. I can see it going to head there at some stage.
So at this,
Not,
let me come in here then. Whilst it hasn't reached that critical juncture, can you as a parliamentarian and others like you not intervene? Because a couple of years ago, a similar issue was raised regarding the exorbitant property prices in the Western Cape, making it totally unaffordable for the locals in the area. So what's going to happen with the locals as they set up? Where do they move to? Or do we just create more ghettos in the Western Cape? Or do these powers that be that want to control this create another Monaco in the southern tip of Africa? Just shunt these people and create a situation of master and servant situation where the poor people that will be shunted out of, Sea Point and all the affluent suburbs of the Western Cape then end up serving these masters in these affluent suburbs. Can nothing be done now? Can government not step in? Should they be stepping in? And do they have the power to stop what is playing out in front of our eyes? That's the one question. Also, what were the loans, the DA loans, taken out? But the US gave them these loans. What was the monies used for?
well, two things. Let me tell you. Right now, as I speak to you, there's a matter in court today. I'm told it's set down for 2 o'clock, where the city of Cape Town is calling for the eviction in Fishhook. Now, in Fishhook, on the beach, there is property that belongs to the first indigenous nation, which is the Koyan San. And they have a cultural center there as well. And I'm told that the DA-led government is intending this to bring an interdict to want to sell that property as well. Now, this is what has been happening. Remember, a very large part of the Western Cape rightfully belongs to the Koyan San, which is the first indigenous nation of this country. Everybody came here, no matter who you are, all came here after the Koyan San. You found them then. But to date, 30 years into democracy, have they been recognized? No. Have there been restitution of land in their favor? Have there been any social upliftment for their community? Absolutely no. It's not unusual to find all their senior paramount chiefs, and living in shacks. You understand? So you can see that 30 years later, we haven't really addressed it based on equality. Some chiefs are benefiting, others are not benefiting. That's the first thing. Very importantly, yes, provincial governments have the right to borrow, for development and whatever it is. I mean, I'll give you a good example. The city of eThekwini has got 8 billion rand in debt so far, of what we know. Now, Western Cape has also got that. Unfortunately, the national government is very limited in its powers by virtue of the fact that these provinces have their level of independence, in terms of the constitution. So they can take decisions that are independent. I have raised repeatedly the issue of, while we're dealing with the restitution of land, the DA government continues disposing of land. You haven't settled these matters. More and more people are not receiving the land as per the agreement that, and remember the land that we promised those people that we were going to transfer back to them for a long period of time. It's been ineffective and we were not able to do that. I mean, if you look at districts, it's only recently, that they've been getting some success after shouting for a long period of time. So I think what is important to note here is this, that the Western Cape government is on a law to themselves. They want to, in fact, they have no respect for national government. They want to go on its own. You already hear they're talking about policing. They want it on their own. And so besides policing, ultimately they want to have a totally independent state. That's the route they're going to want to go. Don't be surprised if KwaZulu-Natal calls for the same thing as well. But be that as it may, what is important to note that the power is within the province. It's up to the people to rise. And that's what the people are not doing. Because remember, this colonialists have mastered the art of convincing people through their rule policy. There is this mentality that, people believe that a white person or somebody will do a better job than a black person. You understand? Without giving them that opportunity. Now, this is the thing. If that is the case, then the question is, why is there so many homeless people in the Western Cape? Why is there so much of hunger, so much of violence and things that? And there's a lot of corruption. I can tell you, just on the housing alone, the commercial crime unit is dealing with billions of rands of corruption as far as they alone is concerned. So it's not that there's no corruption. There is corruption. The only thing is they manage corruption better. They know how to do those books and things like that. That is the situation we find. So I think the only solution right now is, while government to make certain amendments is going to need a two-third majority in any event, which they will not get now, but perhaps they will if we work together. I don't know. But I think what is important to know that the people on the ground must rise. But when the people on the ground are divided, and you'll notice there's 20, 30, 50 different political parties emerging all the time. And every time you emerge, what are you doing? You're dividing those votes and you're giving an opportunity to the DA in the Western Cape to be in control. That is all
Is
you are
that
doing.
is that not a deliberate ploy by the DA?
Well, yes,
To
it's a divide and rule policy, and
yes,
they will work
absolutely.
with some of them. And the
Mm.
thing we have to fear in this country right now, even coming to this 2024 election, if you saw, I 2 days ago, it was brought to my attention to what extent the IFP in KwaZulu-Natal is on an all-out attempt to remove the ANC, working with the DA, with the Freedom Front and Action SA and others in KwaZulu-Natal as well. They are all obsessed with just removing the ANC in any event. But you look at the corruptions in these municipalities for them to be able to achieve that object. That is where I have a problem, and that's where the ANC comes short. There's corruption in their municipality. They represented in all these municipalities governed by other parties. There's high corruption to unseat them, use that money to unseat them. They're not addressing it. They're not doing anything about it. So that is the difficulty. I have these businesses in the ANC structures that they are not, the policies are there. They're not taking advantage of that to deal with these things. So if we don't, and that is why I urge people, all of people to come out. If you haven't registered to vote, go online now and register to vote. Register to vote, do it. Be part of the solution. You must make your mark, because why? We're going to lose that independence of religious freedom in this country. You're going to go back to pre-1994 at some stage if we're not going to take the right decision. I'm not saying the ANC, yes, they're making a lot of mistakes. There's no doubt about it. But all the parties, wherever they're gunning, are no different. Let me tell you, no different. All of them got failures wherever they are. And the easiest
Okay,
thing,
let's wrap up. Thank you. I do appreciate all of your insights today. We started out by talking about the motion calling for the closure of the Israeli embassy in South Africa. You've given us a lot of information on that. We have then moved on to local politics, South African politics, and frightening what we hear. Let's wrap up by talking once again, closing off the discussion this morning about the situation, the genocide on the Palestinian people.
well, I've gone one step further. I now call it a Holocaust. That is what's happening in Palestine, to be honest with you. But yes, I think more and more people must come onto the streets. Let's continue our protest action. It is yielding positive results. For the first time ever, more and more people all over the world are getting a better understanding, and more people and more countries are coming in support of Palestine. It's because of the protest actions and things it's creating. So let's go out there. Let's take advantage of social media. Let's be part and parcel of this protest march. There's one on this Sunday, I think, on the beach, the North Beach to South Beach at about 12, half past 12. Attend all the protest marches that are taking place. Encourage people, but more importantly, educate people that don't know what is going on. And also, we need to do a lot more to make sure that people of the non-Muslim faith understand this is not a religious war. This is about human rights. That is what it is about. Very importantly, that we need to get that message. And inshallah, I think Palestine will be free. And if you do free Palestine, you will free the rest of the world. And maybe the freedom of the world will come from Palestine, inshallah.
I mean, just before I let you go, you made a very, very important statement there. I keep referring to the situation as a genocide. In the beginning days of the start of this genocide, the first week after the 7th, I was actually ghosted because I used that term. But be that as it may, you're now using the term Holocaust versus, as opposed to genocide. What's the difference?
I know that, to be very honest with you, I don't think that the Jewish community in the Zionist state of Israel will like the word Holocaust because they've been victims of the Holocaust. And they need to understand that what they are doing to the Palestinian people is no different to the Holocaust of what happened to them from the time of Hitler and others. So they experienced it, but here they're coming on meeting out the same punishment to the Palestinian people. That is the important thing. But one can call it genocide. The other one can call it Holocaust. But Holocaust to me gives an impression that it's a lot worse. The atrocities that are being committed are so barbaric. And through Israel, we have seen this in Dr. Matt Gilbert's presentation. I'm not sure you've seen. I'm sure you have. But
Yes.
you would see how barbaric the atrocities are committed. It's not like just trying to ethnically cleanse somebody and think. It's gone beyond that, beyond humanity, some of the actions of the Zionist state of Israel. And that is why I think the word Holocaust for me would be appropriate, because it tells you about the severity of state of Israel.
Okay, I agree with you 101%. Thank you once again, Ahmed Manzoor, Sheikh Imam. And you are the leader of the National Freedom Party. I do appreciate all of your deep insights into all matters political, very especially the issue regarding the Holocaust playing out on the Palestinian people. There you have it. I've just adopted that word as well. And going forward, that's exactly what I'm going to put out there as well. Keep us in your du'as. Assalamu alaikum to you.
Jazakallah wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi.
841 News and Views on Salam Media. Standing by to talk with us is Tahira Saluji, PR at Ashraful Aid International Humanitarian Organization.